Welcome to the F-Sharp Podcast, presented by Harmoney Wealth, a podcast geared to educate you on all things financial. Co-hosts Tanner Bortnam and Adam Henning discuss various financial topics presented in a consumable and entertaining manner. Tanner is a certified financial planner, JD, and financial expert, while Adam is a marketing professional and small business owner. It's time to harmonize. Sit back and enjoy the episode. Your future self will thank you.
Welcome to episode 44 of the Financially Sharp podcast. Podcast geared to educate you on all things financial. I'm Adam Henning, joined as always with co-host Tanner Bortnam, certified financial planner, JD, and financial industry expert. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe to the podcast. If you're listening in audio form, wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, hit that subscribe button. If you're watching us on YouTube, click the bell and subscribe as well. If you have any questions, email us at podcast@financiallysharp.com. That's podcast@financiallysharp.com. This episode, obviously a little bit different. We probably sound a little different if you're just listening to us in podcast form. But if you're watching us on YouTube, you can clearly tell it's a little bit different. 44 episodes in, and we are finally in the same room.
Woot woot.
Woot woot. So, full disclosure, we're on kind of a mini vacation, so we thought it would be a good opportunity to sit down and actually have a conversation in the same room. So, this episode, we're going to take a lot of the questions that we fielded over the last couple months and just have a pretty relaxed form episode and just address those questions that we've had come into the email box. So
sounds lovely.
It's going to be not really rapid fire, but we've got a number of questions and kind of retouches a lot of the episodes, and we'll point back to where we addressed some of these questions in previous episodes. So you ready?
Fire away.
Right on. So first question would be, how do you determine the appropriate level of risk while investing? And this is something we touched in episode 19.
Sure.
Episode was called Volatility. So I'll let Tanner answer here. How do you determine the appropriate level of risk while investing?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is a very good question from one of our listeners. We did touch on it a little bit, but just kind of recapping it, it's really going to depend on the person's age, how they view risk. For my clients, I send out a risk questionnaire. It's a quiz that they take, goes through, asks a bunch of various questions to find a speed limit sign somewhere between 0 and 100, how fast they want to drive, so to speak. And then that's a good comparison for us to know or to start with. Sometimes you have clients that want to drive super fast and they don't need to. Sometimes you have clients who want to drive super slow and they also might not need to. They might need to drive a little faster. And so I think starting with that's probably the best thing to do. Start with that questionnaire, and then you can implement that into your financial plan to see, can I drive this speed? Do I need to pick it up? Or am I driving too fast and don't need to take this risk? We'll get there by driving slower and more safely.
Mm-hmm. We'll try to spend only a couple of minutes on each question just so we move things along. But what are some of the variables that go into that test that help determine that speed limit?
Yeah, your age, again, where you're at in regards to your financial plan. I mean, if you're already very well on your way and you have a high probability of success, you likely don't have to drive as fast. If you waited to start investing throughout your lifetime, you might need to drive a little faster, try to speed it up. Younger people tend to have a higher risk tolerance because they have a longer time frame before retirement. The closer you get to retirement, you want to start bringing that down.
Interesting. So that's linked on your website if you wanted to take that, or is that just something that you do onboarding?
Yeah, we do have the link on the website. People can take that, but also it's definitely anytime a new person becomes a client of mine, it's part of our onboarding process.
Yeah. I'll try to remember to link that.
Sure.
In the YouTube video, and it'll be somewhere on the screen here or in the description. So we'll get a link to that if you're interested in that. Moving on, second mailbag question. this is kind of a question that would be pertaining to me as a small business owner. As a small business owner, what are some of the best ways or some of your favorite ways, easy ways to optimize a tax strategy?
Another good question. Obviously, we're not going to get into everything with that. There's so many different ways. Hopefully you have a CPA. They can help with some of the more minute, deductions, vehicles, home office, potential utilities, different things like that. The one that I like implementing for clients who have small businesses is a retirement plan. So typically we will, there's a SEP, there's simple retirement plans, and then there's the 401k. We've been doing a lot of the 401ks, particularly for small businesses who don't have employees other than themselves or their spouse. If this is you and you're in this situation, creating a solo 401k is hands down the best thing you can do, because you will be able to put money in not only as the employee, but then also as the business. And so you can kind of double dip there, and all of that money can then be deducted via the business tax return or your personal return, and really help pull that income down so you're paying a lot less in taxes. So, yep, definitely look into a retirement plan.
Yeah, and that's just one of the many ways to...
Yeah, but it's my favorite. I mean, it's one of the biggest bang for your bucks, definitely. And you're saving for retirement, right? Like it's a double win. You save on taxes and save for retirement. I mean, good
it's like
things.
A cheat code.
Basically.
Owning business.
Yeah.
Any good thing.
Yep.
All right, very good. Third question. And this one way back, episode 6, Building Blocks of Personal Finance, kind of one of those foundational questions, like what is step 1 of a financial plan? And I kind of know the answer to your answer to this question, but I want to frame it in this way. So, do you start at the beginning with just developing a plan? I think that's going to be your answer. Or do you start at the end goal of what you want your retirement to look like?
Where do you want to get to? Sure.
What's step 1?
Step 1 is starting at the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah. I think the most important thing to do right away, like if you literally haven't done anything, is to have a very in-depth analysis, an honest analysis of where you are. Don't sugarcoat things. Don't make debt look better than it is. Don't make your income look better than it is. If you are estimate on the side of being conservative rather than, aggressive. Really, really look into that. And then I'll kind of give the next couple steps, because I know you alluded to going to the end piece. So I would say step 1 is that, analyze where you are. Then step 2 would be, well, where do you want to get to? And then step 3 is, do you need help from someone to achieve that? Those are kind of the big 3 right away.
And so you just lay out your budget if you have one, and just lay out all your income, expenses, and then
everything. I mean, basically treat your situation like a business would do.
Right.
Get an income statement, get a cash flow statement. Know, your budget. Where's all the money going? How much are we saving every month? And really, really hone in on that, at least at the start. Some of my clients stay very, very vigilant, know where every penny is. Some clients, they're within a few $100. I don't really mind, as long as we have an idea of where we're at.
Do you find that easier with specifically partners if that meeting occurs with you present, or is it better for them to do it privately and then come to you as a financial planner, or is it just easier to be truly honest with a third party there to not to expose things, but just to be honest, like you said, the honest analysis of it?
I haven't seen too much of a difference between that. Just from an efficiency standpoint, I typically have new clients do that, because it's a lot of data gathering. You got to log in to all of your subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, this, check all your bank accounts, credit card statements, all of that, compile it. So it does take some time. So typically that's kind of a homework thing, and then we bring it back and we can look at it. And then, going through it there, I always obviously ask questions. What is this? Oh, I don't see anything from this category. Did we not think of that?
Sure.
Whatever. So we can make sure we have it as accurate as possible.
Again, episode 6, building blocks of personal finance for that. Been a couple of years ago with that one. So early on in the era or the episode or the podcast. So next question, do you have any suggestions on how to maximize credit card rewards while not causing debt issues? Another kind of budgetary question there for you.
Yeah. And I like this one just because I feel like there's kind of two camps that I always hear. There's either people who, go the Dave Ramsey route and are like, credit cards are evil and, we can only use cash and a debit card and those types of things. And I don't think that's right or correct. But also by utilizing credit cards, we have to acknowledge the risk you can get yourself into if you aren't, diligent, paying it off every month. So step number 1 is pay it off every month. I mean, don't put more on there than you can pay. Mm-hmm. So as long as you're not doing that and you're always paying that off completely, again, not just a minimum payment that they allow you to do. If you have $5,000 on your credit card, you need to pay the $5,000 off every month. And if you can get into that habit of continuing to do that every single month, then credit cards are actually a really great thing to have. They are more secure than a debit card.
Yep.
Someone steals my debit card information, they have access to my bank account and can drain it.
Absolutely. Maybe
I get some of that money back, maybe I don't. Credit card, I call up Visa, say I didn't do this. They say, okay, sorry, and it's gone. So they're more secure. And then also with the rewards, you don't get rewards for paying in cash or paying in a debit card. Whereas, there's cash back rewards, or there's, if you like to travel, that's what we have out of Phoenix. We have the American cards. We get American airline points, throughout the year. Maybe we come up to the Midwest on a free trip or something, just because we've, accumulated enough points. Yeah. So they can be very beneficial. Big key though is always have to pay them off. Don't get yourself in trouble. Yep. Speaking of credit scores. Next question. How do I improve my credit score? Does it matter? Let's take the second half of that first. Does a credit score matter? This might be a hot take that most people won't expect, but no. I think credit scores are a complete joke. The only time a credit score matters is if you're trying to buy a house or a car, to get a loan, right? It's the only time it matters. I'll use myself and my wife as an example. We have our 2 vehicles. We have our home. Don't foresee any more loans coming up. I really don't care what my credit score is right now, because it's just a number that floats around that you get benefited by doing something, but then also slightly hit because of the same thing. It's an archaic way of measuring whether someone can pay something back. Now, I understand it's still being used. So if you're in the process or wanting to buy a home or get a loan, it matters. Any other time than that, doesn't matter. Most of my clients who are in retirement, their home is paid off, or they have a mortgage. Mm-hmm. They already have it. Aren't worried about vehicle loans. So if there's no more loans that we're expecting to have, I don't care if my client's credit score is 825 or if it's 500. It doesn't matter. Now, to how to improve it, if you are trying to get a home or wanting to get a home, it's really hard when you're young, because one of the main factors is just time. Yep. Well, you can't speed up time. Yep. So the one you can control is don't ever make a late payment. Pay everything off on time, always. Those are the big ones. And then if you do have some outstanding debt, paying some of that down can help, because One of the factors is just how much your income is to the amount of debt that you have. And so if you can lower some of that, it could bump you up a little bit.
But one of the biggest ones is time.
Yeah.
So if you are a young person, when you're 18 or whatever, just open that credit line, be responsible, establish it.
Right. And again, why I think it's so silly is you get penalized for being young because you don't have that time, but yet they also want you to keep, bank account. Well, what if you have a credit union account and you moved? Well, that credit union isn't in your new state, but theoretically you should keep it open because if you close it, you have 10 years worth of time that goes away. And that's just ridiculous. People shouldn't be almost required to keep old accounts open they don't want anymore solely so that their credit doesn't get hit. It's just dumb. But it is what we're dealing with. So it's how they calculate it.
Interesting. All right, moving on to question 6. What are some strategies to maximize Social Security benefits? This pertains to episode 30.
Sure. There's not a ton that you can do. The first factor is your income. So they take the highest 40 quarters. So if you can obviously raise your income, or if you're looking to retire early, checking in on what your highest 40 quarters would be so that maybe you make sure that you don't have a few quarters being counted where you have some really low income, something like that. So that would be a way on the front end to try to help boost your Social Security. And then once you're at Social Security age of 62, the longer you delay taking it will increase your monthly payments. So those are really kind of the two only ways to increase your benefit.
All right, moving on. Another one pertaining to that age group, maybe. Okay. Or if you're a younger listener, you might have parents that are approaching this age for this question. But what is Medicare spend down, and how do I avoid losing all my assets or a parent's assets to the nursing home?
Very good question. Few ways. So I'm just trying to kind of piece through that question. So let's start with what is Medicaid, not Medicare. It'll be Medicaid spend down. So Medicare, I'll just kind of go over this real quick. Medicare is the health insurance that everyone gets at 65. Medicaid is insurance based on your income and assets. So basically to have the government start paying for all of your health care.
Sure.
The question is around basically if a person would need to go into the nursing home or some sort of high-end care, long-term care, without losing everything to pay for said long-term care, I presume, correct? Is that how you read it? Okay. Yeah, there's a few ways. One, you can look into some long-term care insurance and have that set up ahead of time. Now, it is extremely expensive and usually is not the best route to go because it's extremely expensive, but that would be an option. The other option is Medicaid has a 5-year look back. So you can start transferring assets, gifting assets to the next generation. And then as long as you do not go on Medicaid within those 5 years, those assets are deemed outside of it. So you could, give the family farm to the kids, and then as long as you didn't need Medicaid within the next 5 years, you're good.
So that happens at age 60?
No, Medicaid is only based upon when you need it. And when you, so basically with that analogy, it would be give the family farm to the kids, then, mom and dad or grandma, grandpa have to wait 5 years before they would be allowed to file for Medicaid based on income and assets. And some people are never going to get around it. Like if you have a pension, you're going to have enough income that you're not going to be allowed to be. So it's based on income and then assets.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's not one thing to clarify, because most everyone I've ever heard is like, I don't want the nursing home to take the business or take my house. And it's like, well, like Happy Gilmore, right? They're taking the house. Well, they don't actually take the house. What it is they just say, Medicaid says, we're not paying for you because you have the assets here to pay for yourself.
Sure.
We all hate that because we don't want to have to give that up, but it is accurate, right? Like if you have $1 million in stocks, you have money to pay for your own health care. You shouldn't be going on the government. And basically what they're saying is you got to have gifted that 5 years prior to us helping you, so to speak. So high level estate planning, make sure you go see an attorney on that one.
There you go. Might be worthwhile to dig deeper into that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Future.
That could for sure be a whole episode.
Here's a lighter one, a lighter question.
All right.
Besides Finding Your Why, what other podcasts or books would you recommend?
Podcast wise, I don't listen to a ton. One I do listen to kind of sporadically is by Michael Kitces. He has some really good information. I can't even remember what his podcast is called, but if you look at him up, he's very well known. And his podcast would come up. Nerd's Eye View, something like that. Instead of Bird's Eye, I think it's Nerd's Eye View. Sure. Has a lot of good info, but very detailed, so a lot of stuff may not apply to people. Books, besides which one? Finding Your Why. Well, we have teased this other one out before, so I'll throw it out there, but Think Again by Adam Grant. Amazing book.
For sure. I've listened to the audiobook and holy cow, just a general approach to life, I think.
And just how you think,
chapter by chapter.
Yeah, and just to give everybody a little teaser on it. Basically, it's training ourselves to look at the same situation we've already think we know and just trying to rethink it, because it either will confirm, we're still on the right track, or maybe I need to review this a different way and come at it and think of it from a different angle, and basically try to be a scientist. Always challenge yourself and your thoughts, because the goal should be ensuring the truth, not ensuring that we're right.
Right. Yeah. Going through it the first time, I would listen to it again. Is a lot of it helped me with just trying to identify when I had unconditional bias.
Oh, for sure.
Recency bias, all the different biases that we naturally have.
Because we all have them. We all have them.
Yeah. It actually just taught me how to interact, but communicate better, lead a lot better. And a lot of tools that you can better equip yourself with. It's just a fantastic. I mean, just chapter by chapter, you don't even have to read the book. You can just cherry pick certain chapters and they're just phenomenal pieces of information. So, all right, a couple more here.
Okay.
Biggest red flag to look for when choosing a financial advisor. This pertains to episode 3 of top 5 things to find or look for when you're searching for a financial advisor. So, what are some red flags?
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, I was going to say some. That's different. The question was biggest. That's where I'm just trying, and that's okay. I'm trying to piece through, because we've, talked about numerous things. I would say,
I always want to say what I think you're going to say.
Go ahead. Let's see it.
I think you're going to say is identify how they're being paid.
That actually is, yeah. I was trying to determine that, or doing like a broker check.
Yeah.
I think that would be the first one, because even if you don't have any complaints filed against you, you can still be doing what I don't like, which is taking commissions, right? Like, don't put yourself between your money and your client. And that's what commissions do. So to me, I would say that. Now, again, that doesn't mean they're a bad advisor.
Right.
I want to clarify that. But to me, if the advisor takes a commission, based on where we are in today's financial industry, when you can have any investment you want, not include a commission. So the fact that they're still choosing to charge a commission, that to me, I think it should be the biggest red flag, followed very, very closely by doing a broker check and if there are any complaints filed against them. Yeah.
And you can just file that anytime, or
look up a broker check.
Well, yeah, if you
yeah. Oh yeah, okay. It's actually brokercheck.org. It's run by FINRA or the SEC, depending upon the advisor where they fall. But yep.
Like Google review.
Yep. I mean, basically it is. Yeah. It's any complaint. Now again, I want to throw this out there. I'm not sticking up for people that have complaints by any means. It's not a Google review where, mainly people complain. You have to be pretty mad. You have to be very mad to file a complaint that then gets lodged with FINRA, because it's quite a bit of work on a client to do, to do that. So it's very serious, especially if you see multiple of it, like a similar thing. But that's one that I would be shocked if 20% of people do a broker check on their advisor before signing up with the advisor. Mm-hmm. And it's out there. It's free.
Huh.
Yep. Yep.
Last one.
Okay.
Biggest mistake you see when it comes to personal finance?
These absolutes are killing me. God dang. I would say trying to time the market, thinking you can do that. I get that a lot of people, asking or saying, well, should we be investing now versus 6 months ago? And let's look, well, I can make that analogy or analysis right now, but you can't say, well, should we invest now or wait 6 months? I have no idea. Mm-hmm. And I feel like people fall into that trap a lot because it kind of also follows the FOMO, right? That we've talked about, fear of missing out. So people are trying to time it because it can only go up, or they're trying to sell everything and go to cash. And it's like statistics show, just keep putting your money in at regular intervals and then just let it do its thing, and you will significantly outperform people trying to time the markets, because people have to consistently time the markets, which is, again, statistically been proven almost impossible to do. And you got to hit every single time. So just make it easy. Yeah, basically. And that's what it is it's, there's a lot of complex things in financial planning and financial advising and investing and all of that, but it also isn't so complex that we need to be doing something all the time. It can be boiled down to just have a good plan and stick to it, and keep questioning, keep thinking about the plan, and maybe you tweak the plan a little bit based on some emergency coming up or this or that. But these big swings of moving all my money to crypto, or all putting a bunch of money in GameStop, or all the fear of missing outs, or the markets are high now, so let's go all to cash. And you always are going to miss the big opportunity.
Right on.
So,
well, that's all the questions we have.
All right.
So, anything else you want to add before we check out?
No, I mean, other than to our listeners, that was actually super fun to go through those. So please keep sending in, more questions to us. We'll keep compiling them, and when we get another 10, 15 or whatever it is like these, we'll do another one. But hopefully, I thought that was super fun.
In person, maybe it's because we're in.
Well, I think it helps being in person, but it's nice to, what the questions were, but this was. I was able to just kind of
candidly,
just chat. Whereas, most of our other episodes we have stuff prepared. So this is nice.
Very good. Well, that's been episode 44. Again, if you haven't yet already, please like, subscribe, leave us a review. Wherever you're listening or watching, hit subscribe. If you have any questions that we didn't address in this mailbag for next time that you want Tanner to answer, shoot us an email at podcast@financiallysharp.com. That's podcast@financiallysharp.com. For Tanner, I'm Adam. You will see us and hear us in the next episode.
This podcast is for informational and entertainment purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. This podcast does not engage in rendering legal, tax, financial, or other professional services. Investment advisory services are offered through Harmoney Wealth, a registered investment advisor authorized to do business in states where registered or otherwise exempt from registration. If you have questions pertaining to your specific situation, please contact Harmoney Wealth at 602-935-5155 or at harmoneywealthaz.com.